Four more JPX-related arrests by Hong Kong and Macau police. The MTR will run overnight as the city celebrates Mid-Autumn Festival. In the Netherlands, fatal shootings at a university hospital. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The Hong Kong and Macau police force have arrested 4 more people in relation to suspected fraudulent activities involving the cryptocurrency platform JPX over the past few days. They're believed to be the core members of the syndicate. Officers have also seized and frozen assets of $24 million in total. Suspects who have fled Hong Kong are being traced through international police cooperation. Sharon Tang has more.
Having teamed up to investigate the JPX scam, police in Hong Kong and police in Macau met the press at the same time today. During the operation, Hong Kong police seized a large amount of cash, luxury watches and gold bars. Officers arrested 2 men and searched 6 flats. In one unit, police found a bathtub filled with documents that had been destroyed by shredding, fire and bleach. Meanwhile, Macau's police force arrested 2 more men. Officers found $6.5 million worth of banknotes and tokens and froze $8.2 million from casino accounts. Hong Kong police believe the arrestees are relatively important members of the fraud network. Some suspects are believed to have fled overseas and they will be tracked through Interpol. Police added they're using all resources available as well as supercomputers to carry out the tracing work.
We have now nearly 2,500 victims who have reported to police. Taking statements from them alone means a lot of workload. That's why we have to pull in all the operational bureau within the crime wing to handle the case, including the data management and fund flow tracing.
So far, Hong Kong police have arrested 16 people in connection with the case, including social media influencers Joseph Lam and Chan Yi. All of them are Hong Kongers and nearly $100 million of assets have now been frozen. Officers explained the challenges involved.
For this case, it involved thousands of e-wallets and tens of thousands of transactions. Because of the anonymity of the cryptocurrency in the cyber world, it makes it quite difficult to identify the criminal behind. But that's why we had been keeping a liaison with the overseas virtual assets trading platforms.
Officers noted there are still people related to JPX who claim that the platform is appropriate for investment. Police urge residents to take extra precautions before making decisions. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
Today is the Mid-Autumn Festival, sometimes called the Moon Festival. Various celebration activities are being held across the city, including the Lantern Carnival in Causeway Bay. The MTR will run overnight. Mimo Sangai reports.
As the first Mid-Autumn Festival since the pandemic ended, many residents decided to celebrate it outdoors. The Leisure and Cultural Services Department has organized multiple festive activities in the city, including the Lantern Carnival in Victoria Park, which has the theme Chinese Delight in full splendor. It had already attracted many visitors by the afternoon. This lantern display is called Chasing the Bunnies Under the Moonlit Charm, which is crafted by local masters using conventional techniques. This woman liked the display and described the lanterns as special. This man said he's pleased that more people are celebrating the festival together. You can see crowds on the street, he said. As for the visibility of the moon, the observatory said the public may have to gaze at the moon through gaps in the clouds with showers expected tonight and tomorrow morning. Nonetheless, weather authorities said the moon will rise to its highest point at around 12:30 a.m. on Sunday, and moon gazers will still have a chance to look at the bright moon if the weather permits. Memo Sanai, TVB News.
In addition to the night market near Wan Chai Pier, 2 other night markets have opened today at the Harbourfront in Kwun Tong and Western Hong Kong Island. To celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival, colorful lanterns lit up the markets tonight. At the Belcher Bay Promenade in the Western District, some 60 stalls were already up and running at 3 p.m. They mainly offer pet products, food, and handmade products. A visitor from Malaysia even wore a traditional Chinese dress to get into the festive mood. At Kwun Tong, 50 stalls are open today. Music performances are also underway. They're part of the government's Nighttime Economy Initiative. Over in Guangzhou City, some residents chose traditional handmade lanterns to mark the Mid-Autumn Festival. This store in Yuchu district has turned into its own lantern festival with a slew of handmade lanterns. A boy said he prefers this koi fish lantern as the fish represents good luck, which he hopes will help him get good results. Some even dressed in traditional Chang'e costumes to mimic the goddess of the moon in Chinese mythology. Two construction workers died earlier this week from toxic gas inhalation while carrying out a pipeline repair job at an underground facility of the Elements Mall in West Kowloon. The operator of the site's subcontractor is facing manslaughter charges. He appeared in court today. Defendant Shum Yuk-kun is the operator of Shum Development Limited. He was brought to the Kowloon City Magistrates Court via a police van today. No plea needs to be taken for now, and the case has been adjourned until December 27th, pending police investigation and autopsy reports. The 62-year-old has been remanded in custody after the court denied his bail application. Meanwhile, the police have also arrested a 40-year-old man on Thursday who is said to be a manager of the work site's head contractor, Raft Engineering. The minimum wage for foreign domestic helpers in the city will be increased by 3% to $4,870 per month. That will be applied to all contracts signed started tomorrow. Currently, the minimum wage allowable for a foreign domestic helper is $4,730. Starting tomorrow, the minimum wage will rise by $140 to $4,870. Meanwhile, employers can choose to pay a food allowance in lieu of providing foreign domestic helpers with free food. The food allowance will be increased from no less than $1,196 a month to $1,236. A government spokesperson said the adjustment was made after careful consideration of the city's economic and labor market conditions over the past year. That's on top of reviewing the affordability of employers and the livelihood of foreign domestic helpers. In the Netherlands, a lone gunman wearing a bulletproof vest opened fire at an apartment and then at a hospital in Rotterdam, killing 3 people, including a 14-year-old girl. Police have arrested a suspect. Fatal shootings are rare in the Netherlands and drew condolences from the country's king and queen, among others. David Garrett reports.
Filmed from a window across the street, this social media footage shows the aftermath of a shooting in the Netherlands port city of Rotterdam. Then the building was set ablaze. Paramedics treat a victim in front of the house. Smoke could be seen coming out of a smashed window on the ground floor. A young woman wearing white appears distressed. Later, the flames are more intense as the smoke increases. The fire brigade arrive. The gunman is said to have shot dead a 39-year-old woman in the apartment. Her 14-year-old daughter, also shot, died later of her injuries. The shooter then went to nearby Erasmus Medical Centre. The university hospital had to be evacuated with a police helicopter circling overhead. There, the gunman shot and killed a teacher. Fire crews and other emergency responders were quickly dispatched as another fire broke out at this location. Medical workers and students fled the hospital, helping patients, some in wheelchairs or struggling to walk. This hospital staffer was working with kids and had to get them out. They'd been told the shooter was roaming through the hospital and they had to leave. A SWAT team moved in and a 32-year-old suspect was arrested under the helicopter pad. He was wearing a bulletproof vest and had a firearm in his pocket. Police say the male attacker was a student at Erasmus and acted alone. They say he had a criminal record for cruelty to animals. David Garrett, TVB News.
Two vice minister-level U.S. and Chinese diplomats met in Washington on Thursday for what the U.S. described as a candid, in-depth, and constructive consultation. The meeting was between Chinese Vice Foreign Minister for Asia, Sun Weidong, and U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs, Daniel Crittenbrink. Both sides said the meeting was frank and constructive. Crittenbrink reaffirmed the importance of maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. The two sides also discussed other regional issues, including Myanmar, North Korea, and maritime matters. It's been reported that Vice Premier He Lifeng and Foreign Minister Wang Yi could visit the U.S. in the future. Ahead of National Day, Premier Li Chang met with new diplomatic envoys and representatives of 52 countries and international organizations in China on Thursday. Li told them China enjoys bright prospects for future development, which will inject new impetus into the global economic recovery. As Li welcomed the diplomats, he said China attaches great importance to developing friendly and cooperative relations with other countries and international organizations. Li expressed China's willingness to work with all sides to inject more stability and positive energy into world peace and development. Still ahead, the public gets a taste of the Sangsundoi relics at the Palace Museum. A look at what's inside a U.S. nuclear submarine. China's moon mission is expected to go ahead in 2024. Welcome back. The Hong Kong Palace Museum is packed with visitors today as the Mid-Autumn Festival and National Day holidays approach. Most people are intrigued by a new exhibition, the new archaeological discoveries in Sanxingdoi in Sichuan Province. Mimo Sangai was at the museum.
At the Hong Kong Palace Museum, this exhibition room was already filled with people shortly after 10 a.m. this morning. They all came for the same reason, to see the historical and mysterious Sanxingdoi discoveries, some 120 objects made from bronze, gold, jade, and pottery that is up to 4,500 years old. The ancient exhibits include this massive bronze mask weighing over 60 kilograms, one of the 55 unearthed objects at the Sanxingdoi site over the past 2 years. What do the public think of the discoveries?
I see Sanxingdoi things in Beijing, but it's just a little. I see some things bigger than Beijing's.
It's my pleasure to come here to see this history, that thing. Actually, I have been to Sichuan to see, but now I'm in Hong Kong. I can see it. I can still see it in Hong Kong. So that's quite amazing.
This tourist says she had not heard much about Sanxingdoi and its history, but she was looking forward to find out more.
I guess we're not super informed. We're going to do our research as we toured. Of course, I mean we've seen maybe similar exhibitions in other Asian countries, but like Singapore.
After visiting the exhibitions, visitors can come here to buy different Sanxingdoi-themed related souvenirs, including this Sanxingdoi mask-looking chocolate lolly. Mimo Sanai, TVB News.
Hong Kong's retail sales in August grew nearly 14% year-on-year to over $32 billion, thanks to a further increase in visitors. According to the Census and Statistics Department, sales of jewelry, watches, and clocks and valuable gifts grew almost 60%. Sales of medicine and cosmetics increased by over 40%. Meanwhile, categories that saw a contraction included supermarket goods and fuel. The government expects the retail sector to continue to benefit from the ongoing recovery of inbound tourism in the near term. Events such as Night Vibes Hong Kong, which feature a variety of activities and consumption offers, should also provide support. Overseas, Russian President Vladimir Putin met with a former commander of the Wagner Group and proposed that Andrei Troshev could form volunteer fighting groups to help with the war in Ukraine. Putin chaired the meeting. Troshev is seated on the right of Deputy Defense Minister Yunusbek Yakurov. Troshev listened as Putin praised his experience leading fighting squads. The Kremlin has gained control over those who were in the Wagner Group. Its leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, failed in a coup attempt in June and later died in a plane crash. Nuclear submarines are among the most secretive and powerful weapons the United States possesses because they can fire nuclear missiles from unknown and mobile locations anywhere at sea. NBC News went inside one to find out more, just as the crew performed a critical missile test. This report from NBC News.
Hidden deep in the ocean, one of the Navy's most lethal floating weapons performing a final test to get cleared for its next mission. The USS Louisiana, known as a boomer, carries up to 20 nuclear missiles. Concealed hundreds of feet below the surface, it keeps enemies guessing about where and when it could strike.
The sole mission is to go to sea, is to survive, and is to deter major power conflict through nuclear deterrence.
I'm standing in the middle of dozens of missile launch tubes. Inside them, the Trident long-range nuclear missile. Now, it's meant to deter America's enemies from striking. But if that doesn't work, the crew of this submarine have to be ready to launch one of these at a moment's notice. They practice launches dozens of times. It starts with a dive.
Last man down, hatch secured. Submerge the ship to 160 feet high, sir. Dive.
A 21-year-old is driving the sub.
All vents open. Dive. Dive.
The run-through begins with an order to launch.
Man, battle station missile for training.
Captain, message is a valid execution. Captain, the launch is authorized.
And just like in the movies, a turning of launch keys.
Weapons con, you have permission to fire.
And push of a red button.
21, away.
This week's test, a success. The last step before the Louisiana can go back out to sea after an overhaul. It's a sobering mission for these sailors. Staying hidden is so critical that they wear sneakers so their footsteps can't be heard. They're at sea for months at a time with little to no communication except the occasional email.
You're in an encapsulated tube, so you want to know what's going on in the outside world.
They live among the missiles.
After a while, you just kind of walk past them every day, and it's just like walking past your closet.
An underwater mission critical to American security. Courtney Cuby, NBC News, underneath the Pacific Ocean.
In the Maldives, an election campaign for the country's next leader wrapped up Friday ahead of a presidential runoff, with polls opening Saturday. A deciding factor for voters on who to elect as the next president hinges on whether the country wants China or India to influence the Indian Ocean island chain. Maldives President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih, who is seeking a second five-year term as president, championed an India-first policy during his time in power. His main challenger, Mohamed Muizzu, who is currently serving as mayor of the country's capital, Male, favors closer ties with China. The China National Space Administration said the country's next lunar mission, Chang'e 6, will be launched around 2024 as planned. The Chang'e 6 mission is expected to collect samples from the far side of the moon. It aims to land in the South Pole Aitken Basin to explore and collect lunar samples from different regions and ages. To support communications between the moon's far side and Earth, China plans to launch its newly developed relay satellite in the first half of 2024. Chang'e 6 will carry payloads from France, Italy, Pakistan, and the European Space Agency. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Bye for now.